Well, it may just be the five of us today, and that'll be just fine. So thank you guys for both signing on, and thank you to Dr. Rayman and Dr. Fiske for joining us today. We wanted to talk to you a little bit about the thesis and project options, and my understanding is that everyone is doing a project, and just to confirm, if you can let me know, Ashley and Jessica, is that correct? Both do? Okay, fantastic. So we will spend more time talking about that today, and talk to you a little bit about your ideas, see what you're interested in, what you're thinking that you might want to do. If you have no idea, we can go from there. So first, I guess, let me just ask you guys, since you both are doing the project, we'll start with you, Ashley, if you don't mind. Do you have any ideas about what you want to look at, or a burning question, or anything that you want to focus on?
I had planned on some stuff from theory class, but after clinical this semester, I think I may proceed with simulation.
Okay.
I was able to use Noel for simulation, and actually participated in training some of the residents. And that was a lot of fun, just the process of using the high fidelity and low fidelity mannequins and how they improved outcomes and things like that. So I think I may try to focus on obstetrical outcomes with the use of a high fidelity or low fidelity mannequin like the Noel.
Okay. Wonderful. How about you, Jessica?
I definitely want to do it in nephrology. And, you know, right now I teach patients to perform peritoneal dialysis at home. And I wanted to do something with that, maybe different learning styles related to that, or, you know, maybe their individual experiences with the learning, or I'm not sure.
Okay. How do you currently provide that education?
Well, we just have policies and standards and certain resources that we're required to use right now. And I'd like to explore like what's more patient specific, you know.
Okay. All right. I'm making myself some notes, so we'll be able to kind of address those as we go along. You know, the project is a creative product that really focuses on some kind of education. It sounds like you both are on the right track as far as that goes. You know, it is an identified problem, and it sounds like you both have identified something that you're passionate about. It sounds like there may be some education issues, Jessica, with your patients, that you're wanting to make sure that that information is more clear, or that the outcomes are better. And same with you, Ashley. It sounds like, where was your simulation experience? Where did you do that?
Actually, the Canon Charitable Trust donated Noel and Hal to Atrium Northeast.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
It's actually the same department Cindy came from.
That's what I was going to say. You're in there with Cindy, aren't you?
And so they donated that, and we unboxed it, I think, my very first day of clinical.
Okay.
And, it was kind of fun to start from ground zero with just learning the process and things. And the residents, my last day was the residents' first day. So we had first year residents coming in, and we terrified them, and it was a lot of entertainment.
Was it interprofessional or just medical residents?
It was everybody. We had paramedics, nursing. The residents came and used it. It also had baby Hal, so the NICU nurses came and participated with that. They did not use T-pieces there, which some facilities have been using a while, and that's new to them. So they actually used the simulation to train and do checkoffs for competencies on everybody for the T-piece, because they were actually able to see how much ventilation they got with it. And so I learned a lot about it and how you can improve outcomes. So I kind of like the idea of having that as a resource.
Okay. And are you thinking about your project for education for the personnel at Atrium Northeast, or are you thinking about it in an academic setting? Which way are you leaning?
Well, I can do either because I don't have at the community college I'm working at, I don't have high fidelity mannequins, but I use them, well, the ones I do have in lab every time I'm there for something, even if it's just a blood pressure, I use them all the time. So really if I could do it in either setting. We're actually using Noelle tomorrow for a postpartum hemorrhage. So I could do either setting. As far as that, I could do just professional already, or I could do it for student nurses. And I'm not sure. I haven't done enough research on the nurse student side to see what there is. All the research I've done at this point is on the interprofessional side.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Well, and as you may know from emails and from signing into your courses, the Nursing 5600 project course had a little glitch. So you will be registered for that soon. We're not exactly sure where all the hiccups happen, but it will happen. And Dr. Rayman is going to be leading that course for this fall. And so I'm going to kind of let her introduce the course and some ideas and thoughts, and then we can talk a little bit about the projects and the step-by-step procedure for going through the project and when deadlines are, and kind of have in your head what you should have done by when.
Thanks. Thank you, Susan. Well, welcome to the course, you all. Even though we don't quite have a course site yet, we're guaranteed that it's coming up soon and you'll be asked to register. So we'll be in there just as soon as we can. And once you get into the course, you'll see that there are a lot of supports and tools for you. And just to kind of review, if you think about how this project, what the process is like, you'll register for 1 credit hour of projects starting this fall, and then the 2nd credit hour is in spring semester, and the 3rd credit hour is in summer. So when you look at the kinds of things you need to accomplish, we've put those on a timeline for you that encompasses all 3 of those semesters. So when you get into the course, you'll see that's the way the timeline is set up. There's a tentative timeline that's posted in the course. And essentially, just to kind of review that, the first semester, which is this fall semester, we'll work together in the beginning of this course, and you can start to do a draft of your proposal, which is what you'll need to be working from to develop the ideas about your project. And what we want you to keep in mind is that you need to choose something and narrow it and make it very practical in a way that it's something you could accomplish over 3 semesters, because we really want you to try to stay on time to graduate. And we have 1 cohort of students who've accomplished this, and most of them have been on time. So we know it can happen, and we hope that it'll happen for you. So if you'll work with your chair and your committee, and so one of the things you'll do this semester is you'll be assigned to a project chair this fall, and we'll get that information out to you very soon, so you know who your chair is. And then 1 other nursing faculty will make up your committee. So there's 2 faculty members with graduate status who are on your project committee. So that's one thing that'll happen this fall. And then as soon as you start to work with your chair, develop your proposal further, and there are proposal guidelines in the course as well. So you know what areas you need to look at and how to include those as you're thinking about your proposal and working on it. And then the committee meets and talks about your proposal. So you do what's called, we could call it a defense. It's really a meeting where you're going to have the committee say, yes, we give approval for you to go on and implement this project. So the fall semester, basically, you develop your proposal for the project, you draft your teaching materials during the fall as well. So you start to work on those and get those ready. And if you need to do IRB, the Institutional Review Board approval process, you would want to at least start that by the end of the fall semester, with the idea that when you come back in January, you'll be able to really present the rest of your teaching projects. So that would be more finalized at the end of January. And then implement your project during the spring semester. That's the kind of the crux of this, because you're actually doing the project that you've drafted the proposal for. So you have the proposal done and approved in fall. You implement the project in spring semester. So you realize that takes planning to be able to have that to happen. And then in the summer semester, you really are kind of polishing things. You would have already had your teaching project developed and ready. You would have implemented it. And then when you get to the summer semester, you're polishing and submitting the final documents. So you have your materials already developed. You would be writing your final report of your project, and then you have what we call a defense of that, which is a presentation. So you formally present your projects. Last year we had all those on one date in the summer, and that worked out really well. So we'll think about doing that same thing, and we'll probably set right now, like mid-July, as a time when we would have your project defenses, so that people can plan for that and request time off, whatever you need to do to plan for that. Because that public presentation meets one of your requirements for graduation for the graduate school. So the other thing that you do as a part of this is you draft a manuscript based on this project. So in summer semester, you would be submitting your manuscript to your committee, you would be submitting your final report, and you would be doing your presentation of your project. So lots of work happens before that, but it's spaced over those 3 semesters, and we have on this project timeline that's in the course, some things are in bold, and the bolded dates are ones that you don't have really any leeway, because those are things like you must apply for graduation by a certain date, and you must do some certain other things in order to stay on time. So that's kind of a general overview with the idea that everything would be submitted to your committee. That includes revisions, and that would happen after your public defense by July 31st. So that's the final date for everything being submitted to your committee. And there are other dates along the way that you'll see on the timeline to help keep you going, so semester by semester. So that kind of gives you a general overview of the next 3 semesters. And then just to go back and review, this fall semester, you'll develop a proposal. You'll work with your committee chair and the committee member to refine that proposal and finalize it so that you are in good shape in the spring semester to go ahead and implement your project. You would also develop your teaching materials, whatever those are going to be, during the fall semester, and you would go through the IRB process, which is pretty straightforward, and we'll have a time during the course when we have somebody who comes from the Institutional Review Board from the Office of Research to talk with you about that IRB. And faculty have lots of experience in terms of that IRB process, and that's an online process that you go through that offers protection to human subjects. And it depends on whether your project involves and to what level it involves human subjects, but most times our students' teaching projects are either exempt or expedited. So it's a pretty straightforward process, but good for you to go through that and see what the status of your project is, and then you mention that also in your final report. So that's kind of it in a nutshell in terms of the next 3 semesters of your life and the project. And so I'm wondering what questions you all have at this point.
Can you describe more to us about what you mean by manuscript?
Well, there are a lot more details in the course for that, Ashley. And what you would do is you would draft an article that you would submit for publication. So you would pick a journal that fits with your area of interest, and most often those are a type of clinical journal or maybe a staff development journal. It can be something even more local than that. So, you know, your chair will work with you on that to identify the appropriate place that you would be submitting, writing up this project for publication. It doesn't have to be accepted. It just has to be what we call journal ready, which means you follow the formatting and the requirements for that particular journal. So everybody's will look a little bit different. What other questions do you have?
A couple of examples of the students that are graduating that they did. Some submitted to the Tar Heel Nurse, some submitted, we had one who submitted to the Nursing Education Journal. We had somebody who submitted to Creative Nursing. We had, I'm trying to think, the other journal just left me, but Nursing Education Perspectives. So we had somebody who submitted there. So it's a variety depending on what your topic is. For example, you know, if you're doing a project on dialysis like Jessica, then you may want to focus on something that's going to be readership of people who are doing dialysis. Clearly, that may be a good market. However, if you want to write more about the educational module and the design of that and the outcomes of that, maybe it needs to go to an education journal. You know, so it could depend. And Ashley, with SIM, there's a multitude of ways that you can go with that. You know, there's plenty of SIM journals that are just specific. Of course, you can put it in education journals. There's IPE journals if you wanted to look at it professionally. So there's a variety of ways depending on your topic of where that might go. And you would work with your chair and your committee to do that. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to take a peek. There was a group email circulating, and I want to just make sure because some people had questions, and if they had something that needed to be asked, I want to make sure that it's covered. So,
well, Kim, do you have a second to tell us a little bit about what you want to do in your topic while Ashley's looking that group email up?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you hear me? What? All right, can y'all hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm at work and I have headphones in. I've never done it this way before. Well, I'm looking at either doing motivational interviewing with patients who have chronic health conditions that are non-compliant or non-adherent, or education for nurses and teachers regarding patients who have suicide ideation.
What was that second one again, please, Kim?
The second one, education for nurses and teachers regarding students or clients who have suicide ideation or present with suicide ideation.
Okay.
Do you have a preference on one of those? Are you leaning one way or another, Kim?
Well, I was leaning more toward the motivational interviewing because I work in a high school and I deal with a pretty large amount of students who aren't compliant with their health conditions, especially students who have diabetes. But then when I did my internship this summer on the psych unit, then I started leaning more toward the suicide ideation part. So I'm not sure. I'm kind of between those two right now. And I haven't had a chance to get more information on either one to decide which way I want to go toward.
Okay.
Maybe just a comment, depending on what you're interested in. I think there's some things that if you are interested because it's new to you or an area you need to learn, just keep in mind that in addition to doing a project and learning how to put together an educational offering and write an article, you're also really going to have to immerse really heavily in that new content area. So I'd recommend sticking with something that you know a little better. Like if you have some expertise in the content already, it'll be really helpful because the other things that we're really, I guess, grading the project on or looking for you to do are more the educational components of it than exploring a new area. And that just struck me with the suicidal ideation, just because that one is so sticky. And I think you'd, in addition to just content, you'd have the whole legal aspect and where you can do what, and it is timely and relevant, so it would be a great project. But I think it's a lot to bite off in addition to just learning how to do everything. So that one would just be one to think about. And I'm not totally discouraging you, but just realize that one sounds a little trickier to me, just because of everything involved with it. Like, well, where do you refer? Or, there aren't, because there aren't any resources anywhere for
I
like they're going to end up in a year. But
working in the schools, I thought it was just the adolescents that didn't have the resources. But now, after working on the adult unit, it's everyone. No one has.
Yeah. I mean, it's a major issue, and it's timely and relevant. But and so I'm not dissuading you, but just know that depending on what you pick, because I think a lot of times students last year wanted to do something they knew nothing about, and that. You think, oh, I have to learn all this content and look through all that literature and learn how to do like best practices in educational theory for putting it together. And then I have to really learn how to write a manuscript for publication. And so I think if you at least know one of those areas well, it'll save you time and help you get it done. And maybe just my other 2 cents about that are, once you look at the timeline, you'll realize that by the end of the spring semester, you'll pretty much have to have everything done. The summer is for fine-tuning drafts, and even though it says like turn in your it's sort of going to be your last final perfect versions of everything in the summer, because you aren't going to have a lot of revision time, and your defense dates end up being kind of mid-summer semester just to meet all the grad school guidelines. So just know that your goal is really to have everything complete really by the end of spring, which means you really have to stay on track throughout the whole process. And also keep in mind that the times that you may have free to work on this, like breaks and that kind of thing, you may not have faculty available to read drafts then. So you need to get as much done as you can before those breaks, so that when you have a gap of time to work, that you're good to go ahead independently with whatever you need to work on, if that made sense at all. So by the end of fall, if you have your project proposal defense done, you know where you're going with that project, you can work on some of that independently before somebody reviews it. But if you really are in a position where people haven't reviewed that and given you a lot of feedback, and you clearly know what you're doing, that's going to delay you getting finished.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like I should probably stick to the motivational interviewing with like the students who have chronic health conditions, because I've worked with that population for 11 years.
I think that would make for a really good project. That would make for a really good manuscript. So I think just sort that out, see where what you think, where your heart really is, and look at what's going to work out best. And that's something that once you have a chair, they can help you with that too.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I know we have some fairly strong expertise on faculty with motivational interviewing, so there might be a lot of good fits there. But again, I'm not trying to talk you out of anything, but just think it through, because I think that if you really want to do the other one, that's fine, but that's going to be a lot more background work maybe than this.
Well, and I have to give credit to Dr. Brackney, because when I came up for the public defense and we were eating our public defense, what I'm talking about, the defenses, I'm going back to my criminal justice days. She was the one that was talking to me about that and gave me that.
Well, and there's a lot of, we do have a lot of faculty who have worked in that, and I think there would be some good fits for you with faculty.
Okay. And also chronic illness, Kim.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's another area. And I would agree with the points that have been raised about being very practical and staying in an area that's known to you for this project. Because the other thing that you may not be able to anticipate, but I think the students who graduated would really support this. You know, you look ahead and you think, oh, on that break, I'll get a lot of work done. But what you don't really understand about yourself yet is in the second year of the program, you start to get tired. And so when the breaks come, your brain may not be quite as fresh as you would have hoped. And it lengthens the time that it takes you to do quality work, because you just don't have the kind of energy that you think you might when it comes to breaks in between semesters. So I would just add that to your list of considerations in terms of what you're picking, because the more you can facilitate your own thinking and progress as you're going along, the better things will integrate for you. And that really results in a good quality project and being able to stay on time as well.
Welcome, Laura. We're happy to have you with us. And your sweet daughter, too. I see her peeking back there.
Thank you. Yeah, that's Ola May.
Hey, Ola May, how are you? Quiet today?
Quiet today.
That's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, Laura, do you want to tell us a little bit about what topic you're thinking about for your project, or some ideas maybe that you've had?
Well, I did have some ideas that I had spoke with you about with the NAS, but I don't know. I really haven't had a chance to look into it more. My ideas, just for everybody, was to come up with some kind of new, maybe Finnegan scoring for the neonatal abstinence syndrome, to kind of help nurses all be on the same page, basically, because there's so many different scores because it's all subjective.
Right.
So I was thinking about doing something with that, but now I don't know if that's the way I should go or if I should do something totally different.
Well, what other things interest you? Just curious.
Children interest me. Anything to do with children.
Right.
With my work, I do a lot of work with substance abuse moms. So it kind of does tie in with the NAS scoring, but this is more outside the hospital than it is in the NICU setting. I guess I don't really know what I want to do. What are your thoughts?
Can I ask one quick question? I don't remember. Where are you, Laura?
I'm working at a health department with CC4C, so I work with
like
birth to
geographically.
I live in Moore County, work in Randolph County.
Okay. The reason I was asking is they're actually going to be starting a new project in our area that I thought may be interesting to you. It's called Eat, Sleep, Console. And it's because so many people are having so many problems with scoring NAS because it is so detail oriented, and they're going to Eat, Sleep, Console, and it's basically if they can eat and maintain that, if they can sleep for more than 1 hour, and if they can console themselves within 10 minutes, you base your dosing of methadone or morphine or whatever you're using on that. And the first study was conducted at Hopkins, and they're doing 3 more actively right now, I know, in the East Coast. So just a thought, food for thought, is it's a potential replacement for NAS, especially in most facilities, because it's so much easier for everyone to do equally. And they've shown that the babies have shorter length of stays because they spend more time rooming in, and they end up getting less medication than on the NAS scale. So just something to look at, and that's what's called Eat, Sleep, Console.
Okay.
And I'll be quiet, sorry.
No, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
You know, and maybe that's something you want to replicate, a study that's already been out there with your unit or with a certain group, or educate about that new treatment model, or scoring model, I guess you would say. So there's some opportunities. And then Beth, you may have some thoughts on this as well, because I know you worked on a committee that looked at NAS.
I think you might, for some, NAS is so broad, I think and so relevant, I think you might want to pick a really small area rather than like a whole scale. Developing a scale is going to require a lot of statistical expertise and background and numbers, and you would get into a lot more than you think, because Finnegan's scores have been around for probably like 40 some years, and so changing something like that is probably too big and major. But I think for example, I guess I can talk. A student last year did a project just on, diaper rash treatment specifically for those babies. So just a small element. So there might be one of the factors that you're scoring that you'd look at a little more carefully, and or some other aspect of working with moms, or some other outpatient issue if you're in public health. So I think that it's just, it might just be thinking about taking a small piece of that you can really become an expert on, and working from there, because certainly there's a million and one things to look at with NAS, but just because the numbers are exploding, you're seeing a lot of work all over the country in different realms. So you want to do something that might contribute in a different way, or contribute specifically in your facility or area. But certainly your chair can help you fine tune that a little bit. But there's plenty to pick from in that area. But my gut is to really hone in on just a tiny little piece of it, so to make that one doable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that sounds. I could probably do that. That sounds like a good idea. Whenever you were talking, I guess it does seem like it's a big bite to try to do.
And we talked quite a bit, I think, before you joined us, Laura, about really trying to make these projects very practical. And, one way to do that is to hone in on a certain aspect of something that you'd be able to implement, that you could plan and implement and evaluate within 2 semesters, which is, that kind of gives you a time frame. So the more focused you can make it, and if you think about your own local setting and something that they might need, sometimes that'll help you to focus it down.
Maybe I can say too, I think a lot of times when people are taking on a project, they want to do something monumental and earth-shattering that will change the world. And what you do will, but it's in one small way that then fans out to a bigger audience. So I think the goal really is for us to see that you have the expertise to put together an educational offering using best practices, and that you know then how to share that knowledge through a manuscript. So that's what we're trying to learn. It's not like the inventing something new or coming up with something monumental. And I think that's a lot of times where students get stuck. But it can be something simple that you know about, but it really is going to be helpful in your setting. And impactful, and if you do bite off a small piece and have a good project, then after you graduate, things can grow from there. Or you might just do one seemingly small in-service in your hospital, but then when people see it, they'll think, oh, well, this will be a good person to do the next step or the next project, and that's how your career is going to evolve from there. I think a lot of people think about the thing that's going to actually happen 2 or 3 years from now down the road once you're graduating, you're working or whatever. But I think a little more manageable for this project, and that might really be helpful.
I would agree with Dr. Fiske, and your idea about the Finnegan scoring is excellent, but really that's doctoral level work. I mean, you would need to take courses in instrumentation and measurement and psychometrics to really be prepared to handle something like that and do a good job with it and feel confident with what you're doing. So I would really say pick something that's more of an application, something that's needed in your area, on your unit perhaps, and kind of start from there and see what you can come up with.
Okay. Thank y'all.
You're welcome.
Ashley, did you come up with some questions from the group?
No, they looked, when I was reading through the emails, they look like they're more course specific than than in this. So I think we can just revisit those in the individual courses. But I think everything in the email was more course specific. I know Jennifer said that she was looking to do breastfeeding for her project. She didn't have she didn't have it narrowed down to a very specific area, but she was wanting to, I think, improve lactation or improve rates in the health department setting where she works. So I know that was one of her areas that she had at least told me she was considering. So you guys have any guidance for her on that one?
Again, we'd have to kind of look at what she specifically was trying to accomplish with him, because breastfeeding is pretty large too. But if she has a specific population and kind of time frame, that might be something doable. You'd have to again look at what resources are there, etc. But certainly there's something she can narrow down in that realm that would make a nice project.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm not as familiar with what that area is doing right now in that health department. I used to be, but you know, you have to look at what education's already out there and why is it not working, and is there another educational module that she could do, or a different type of design of education or support that would help those moms in that situation. And then of course she has to decide how she wants to evaluate that and what data that would look like. So that's probably something we'll talk more in depth with her once she gets assigned to a chair. But I definitely, there's a lot of possibilities with that.
I mean, that one could morph into some cultural project. That was kind of my gut on that one, just depending on where it is, or something that doesn't meet the eye, just depending on the patient population.
Yeah, I think from what she had mentioned, the cultural aspect was important because there's one population that is more successful than another population. Yes. And they receive the same education, but the community does not support those moms and actually puts them down. And I think she's trying to figure out how to maybe convince them not to put each other down.
And so maybe her project is more of a community-based education than it is about the individual moms. Maybe it's more about awareness of breastfeeding in the community and supporting that specific population in that education. So there's a different kind of, it depends on what her main goal is.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, unfortunately we had a great speaker last fall on campus.
Yes.
Addressing that issue specifically. So anyway, yeah, I think we'll just have to see where she is and how it needs to focus, but I think that's definitely a doable idea.
Any other questions? Any other thoughts?
I do have a question. So we're going to have one of you guys, I'm assuming, that will be working with us on our projects. So do we talk to everybody about what we want to do from now on, or is there one particular person? Or
That's a great question, Laura. So for right now, in this fall semester, you'll be working with Dr. Rayman in the 5600 course, which you signed on a little after we said that, but there you'll be registered in that very soon, and you should get information by tomorrow morning on exactly what that's going to look like and get you enrolled in that course. So you'll work with Dr. Rayman on kind of fine-tuning your ideas. We will assign you a chair, and so that will be one of the three of us, or Dr. Brackney, Dr. Turpin, or Dr. Sale. So you'll get one of us, and then you'll have one other person on your committee that will work with you to build this idea and, you know, get your manuscript ready and support that. So that's kind of how that committee is going to turn out and look like. So what we're going to do is take all of the topics and look at faculty expertise and try to pair people up the best we can for the chair so that you have the maximum experience for that based on collaborative interest.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm excited. I'm just nervous.
Well, I'm sure everyone else feels the same way. I think nerves are a good sign that you know you're doing something that's going to challenge you, and we want it to challenge you, but it is very much doable, and you will have a great piece of work to be proud of when you finish this up, and be able to move that, like Dr. Fiske said, into a setting, and then potentially move that in other areas once you get done. And if you decide to go on for a PhD or DNP, then you can make that a bigger project, or you can decide to go with the dissertation. And Laura, you can create your own Gibbons tool for NAS.
I was going to say,
and we'll say we knew her then.
Thank y'all.
I was just going to add that that this is an independent project, and the work's going to be your own, but do not hesitate to ask for help. No question is dumb. No thought is too insignificant. So please just reach out to your chair, and I think people are more than willing to talk to you multiple times just to kind of flesh out your ideas and get going, because it's not always easy to do that. But the more we help you and get you off to a good start, the smoother the whole process will be. So please, by all means, ask for help at every step, and we're more than happy to help you. But since it's independent, if you don't ask, we wouldn't just think to say, let's talk about this or that.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. If you'll stay with us and work with us and meet those dates and deadlines, that's really what will help you move along. So it's directed by you in terms of trying to set your schedule and your time so that you can stay up with the deadlines for the proposal draft, for the finalizing the proposal, for your manuscript. And it looks like there's plenty of time there when you look at that schedule, because some things have about a month that we've said, oh, you need to be working on this during this month. For example, developing your educational materials. But because you're professionals who are working full time, that time goes by really fast. So, if you can look at your own schedules and just make a commitment to plan time for this project in addition with your coursework that you're working on, and let those things dovetail. So in the fall, when you're looking at educational theories and when you're looking at project development, think about those concepts and those ideas in terms of this project and fit those things together, because that'll help you too.
It will, and it will help move you forward faster than you would imagine. So it's definitely good advice, Dr. Rayman. Thank you for that. I did send out an email through the MSN course site with a questionnaire for you just to go in and put in your topics. You guys don't have to do that because we have your topics. I already have those written down. So you can ignore that. But for the rest of you watching the video that we're not on here, please go in and just put that in so we have an idea. And if we can have that information by Friday, that way we could go ahead and assign out chairs and start looking at getting you placed with the right people.
And just another point in terms of organizing the semester, what I thought I would do with the course, with the 5600 course, is starting next Tuesday to have a Zoom session each Tuesday evening, probably about 7 o'clock, if that time works for most people. And it'll just be an open session. You can get into the Zoom and ask any questions, get clarification on things, talk through your topic a little bit, or whatever you think would be helpful. So it's really an open consultation for whatever kind of help you might need at that time. So just come in and join, and I'll be happy to help in any way I can. By then we should have your chair assignments identified, and we can share that information, and you can start getting your work underway and moving along.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about the process, or, I know that we spoke about this, but just to reiterate, do not let the word defense come across with that negative connotation. It really is a presentation of your ideas. And, when you get to the point that you're defending next July, your chair is not going to let you get up on that stand and defend unless you are ready. And that is our philosophy. We will make sure you are going to be successful before we let you do that. So it's not, you want to do your best work and you want to present really well, but we're not trying to put you on the spot and then put you in a position where you might not be successful.
Sounds good. I really enjoyed being at the one this past July because I feel like that really helped me see kind of what it's all about anyway.
Sure.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming. It was nice to have the support of other students for our students who were going for the first time. And I think they felt more nervous because they had not experienced what that looked like. And so I'm glad that you guys had that opportunity to be able to see that firsthand. And for those that couldn't come, that you can share that with the others in your cohort and help alleviate some of those concerns that you don't really need to have. They're unfounded.
Well, the students were definitely well prepared
Yes.
in their defenses that they did. I was amazed. I thought, oh my goodness, I can't believe in another year we're going to be up doing that, and we're going to be that prepared.
Yeah.
You will be. You will be.
I thought the same thing.
Well, I have to say I was really proud of them. I think they did a wonderful job, and it was exciting to see all of that hard work, displayed and showcased in such a nice way. So we're looking forward to doing that with you as well. And so tentatively, I have July 11th held as our tentative date. It's a Thursday.
Did you say July 11th?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. My computer messed up.
And of course, there could be other things that influence that date, but as of right now, that's the tentative date we're holding.
Okay.
And we'll be in our new building by then. So we'll have a great space to be able to have the meeting, and that'll be an additional nice piece of it.
Yes.
Sounds good. I'm still nervous though.
When's the ribbon cutting for the new facility?
September 21st.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Nice.
Yes. So if you're off or can make that happen, we would love to have you join us and come get tours, and I'm sure it'll be a really exciting day.
Yeah.
But classes for some of the programs started over there yesterday.
Oh, did they?
They did.
What time?
I know social
What
work is
time?
over there. Do you know, Dr. Rayman, which all programs did begin?
Everybody who has lecture classes, except for us in nursing, we didn't move because we have students in labs that are concentrated in the first 4 weeks. So we're going to go over there after our labs move. But the other departments, and that would be social work, exercise science, nutrition and healthcare management, and communication science disorders, all have started having some lecture classes over there. No labs yet, but lectures. And I've heard from faculty that the space is really nice. The classrooms are great, and they found everything to be up and working in terms of technology. So it's been a really good beginning experience for people, for faculty and students.
And if you don't follow Beaver College or Appalachian on Facebook, you can always click on their sites, and they've got some pictures up of the inside and some of the classroom spaces. I think the Appalachian physical plant had the Appalachian classroom spaces for that building posted today. So it's kind of fun. I haven't made it over there to see it yet. That's on my tomorrow's agenda, but it looks really amazing.
All right, so I can't wait to see it.
I didn't. I'm gonna do. Oh, this is like the third week in a row. I forgot. No.
Other questions? Anything that that's, and they're, ask us anything. We're happy to answer.
I have one question.
Jessica?
Denise Owens and I work in nephrology. We work in dialysis together in the same department.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure some of her ideas are similar to mine in terms of projects. And I just want to know what your thoughts are about that, how we make sure that we're different, even though the topic is similar.
Right. And well, I think, and I don't know how in depth you've had that conversation with her, or is she thinking for the same kind of outcomes, or is she looking at something a little bit different?
The last time we spoke about it, she was looking at the aspect of how to decrease our peritonitis rates, and I don't know other than that. And I was thinking that maybe my education things with the patients, we're also having problems with retention because of whether it's infection or whether it's caregiver burnout or whatever, that maybe we could look at teaching strategies that help with that, or I don't know, but I think
maybe you each want to take a different population. So maybe she wants to look at providing education for caregivers and you want to look at providing education for patients and focusing that in different ways. And I'm sure you're also coordinating with a lot of different facilities. So maybe there's even education that needs to happen prior to you guys receiving patients for dialysis.
that's a good
I'd
idea.
also add that if she was going to trying to decrease peritonitis, that would really end up being more of a quality improvement type project, with the outcome would be more of a policy change or a staff education. It
Okay.
sounds like some of the other things you might be working with would be more like on the patient end and a patient education development. So those are really different, in my opinion. I think that we're always going to have people that might work in the same unit or the same content area, but again, we just want to see that you can do those. That you can function as an educator and do all those educator role aspects of that role. So the content isn't going to matter as much, but I think again, your chairs can help flesh those out, but there might even be some shared resources, and that's not a problem. But the focus of the project is going to be different. So if you all had 20 of the same articles, we don't care, as long as you're using them appropriately for the purpose that you're using them. Does that?
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody else agrees, but that's just my comment on that. So I don't see that as a problem.
No, I don't either. I think there's enough issues within a unit identified that two people would be able to get two nice projects out of being on the same unit.
Okay.
Maybe I can add a plug. You can be in the same department and have all kinds of problems to work on. Because maybe, I don't know if Dr. Lane's going to share that with you, but we were thinking the other day and came up with how many, Dr. Lane, we had a list of.
I've got a list of 10 projects that,
Yeah.
If people didn't have any ideas or wanted to work with us on stuff, I've got 10 things that we just brainstormed in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh yes, this would make a great MSN project. So,
Yeah. And those are all in the same department.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It'd be the same setting, same situation that you're in.
And some of that overlap. And I'll actually, that's a good idea, Dr. Fiske. Why don't I just go through that, because those watching the video may not have a topic and they may be interested in one of these. Our RN to BSN program has some courses that potentially could be rebuilt or redesigned in a variety of ways. One specifically is the older adult course. There we're using NLN older adult, they're called ACE competencies, but we're using those, and they have limited transcripts and audio that go with that. And so I think there's some opportunities there to build in new patient information, to build in electronic medical records, to build in lab reports, to really make that more of a virtual clinical experience, and potentially even re-record those other transcripts and add new transcripts with somebody that has that voice for that patient, so that it creates that personal connection between our student and the patient that they're taking care of. We, of course, are, getting ready to hear back about accreditation, and we're talking about new ideas for the MSN, and do we want to have any other types of programs or concentrations. So there's possibilities at looking at curriculum for the MSN program. The research course has potential to be redesigned as well in the RN to BSN program. There's definitely some education opportunities as far as recruitment and orientation of new students into the MSN program from the student perspective, and education about ways to make that transition easier. One of the things we talked about is looking at some of our admission trends. That would be more, there's some statistical pieces to that, and that if somebody was really interested in that retention and recruitment and graduation rates and pieces like that, there's some things that we could definitely look at with our programs, both for our BSN, RN to BSN, and MSN program. One of the things that we really would love to have, and it's on our to-do list, but it would make a great MSN project, is an online preceptor orientation. And that would be for our BSN students. That would be the face-to-face. It could be for our RN to BSN students in our synthesis course, as far as when people are doing QI projects. They don't necessarily have a preceptor, but there could be an orientation to a manager of a unit about what that QI project might look like. Or for our MSN for the clinical preceptorship that you just did and completed, or the education preceptorship. One of the things that we also identified that would be a huge help is simulation, which actually that kind of pairs with you, but I think you're focused a little different, and I don't want to pull you from your path, but we'll put this out there. We really need some developed simulation experiences for peds and OB. And so that would be something that would be really beneficial for our BSN students in our program. Something we talked about was looking at ways, if somebody was familiar with the local surroundings, the surrounding, Watauga and the surrounding 5 counties, looking at integrated community health experiences and figuring out how we can integrate mental health into that more effectively. And then we talked about ways to do community wellness, partnering with the community and doing education through there, looking at developing IPE events for our college and the community, or even looking at developing some of the IPE competencies that come from the Beaver College of Health Sciences. So that was just like a 10-minute brainstorming of things that just, when you talk about having lots of things to do in a department, those are some of the things that really could fall directly as an MSN project and give an idea. So Jessica, I think you're fine. There's plenty of, we can definitely work with you both in the same unit fixing similar problems, but we get it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Was there any I forgot, Dr. Fiske or Dr. Rayman? That was my list I made, but I may have left some off.
I can't think of anything else.
Nope, that was what I had on my list too, Susan.
Okay, fantastic. And of course, if you had other ideas about something that you might want to see, and we're happy to talk about that too, because the possibilities of education and looking at ways to create an MSN project for our programs are really endless. There's a lot of different things we could look at if that was something that you decided you were interested in. Was this helpful at all? Do you feel like that you got anything from this session that may be useful to you?
I feel like it was helpful.
It was.
Yeah, and I think we all got some good information, and I'm sure we'll all come up with a list of questions again after the course opens and we're able to look through a little bit more of the details and the dates. I'm sure there'll be another gauntlet of questions that you guys are going to get from us with that.
We love questions, so bring them on.
We appreciate you taking the time to do this and to answer these questions.
We're happy to. It's good to see you guys. Can you believe a year ago you were in orientation? You're halfway done. Is that not amazing?
It is. It's exciting.
Yes. It's exciting for us too. We want to make sure you get off on the right foot and a good path to make sure that you can meet the deadlines and that you meet your own goals to be able to achieve the MSN in the 2 years. And so it's one of the reasons why we wanted to go ahead and have this meeting and get you started thinking and looking at those deadlines and planning ahead. And, I think Dr. Fiske mentioned it a minute ago, and Ashley said you'll come with a list of questions. We don't know what questions to answer if you don't ask us. So, you have to tell us what you don't know or what you're confused about, and we're happy to give you the answers or find the answers if we don't know them. So. Well, that's all I had. Dr. Fiske and Dr. Rayman, did you have anything else to add?
No.
No, not at all.
Okay. I'll post this video to the MSN site. So if you want to look back over it, you can do so. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let us know.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a
Thank
great
you all.
day.
It's been good to talk with you, and I'm looking forward to the course.